Hey, Penrith City Chapel, and welcome to this week's The Spur, where we want to spur one another on to love and to good deeds, as it says in Hebrews. And we've been doing this series called Mindsets. And our mindsets are so important because the Bible also says that we're to set our minds on things above, not on earthly things. Because here's the thing, when we set our minds on earthly things, we often find that the earthly things don't carry us. At some point, earthly things let us down. And so when we are setting our minds and our hopes on other things, then we actually find ourselves sometimes in a really challenging place, sometimes even a dysfunctional place, and our minds go to some unhealthy places sometimes. And so one of the things that we talked about recently was trapped. When we feel like we're trapped, when we don't know what to do, we don't think that we can do the next thing, we feel overwhelmed, that's a mindset that we can have. Last week we talked about the mindset of less than, how we're just never enough, how we're not good enough, how we're not smart enough, that we don't have enough abilities. And what we do is we actually downplay ourselves, and we think that we actually go deeper than just our abilities and our skills and our talents, where we actually believe a lie that we ourselves are less than. And so I encourage you, if either of those are spaces where your mind goes, be encouraged and to know that we can actually live free of those mindsets. Now, today's mindset is lonely. Now, we all have times where we actually feel like we're lonely. We all have moments where we just need to have a friend around us. I'm not talking about that, because sometimes that's just as easy to fix as pick up a phone and have a chat to someone. I'm talking about a mindset of lonely, where we distance ourselves, where we don't feel like anyone wants to talk to us, where we don't feel like anyone would value us. And so we create this space in our minds where it's just us, and we feel like we're lonely. And not only is that a really challenging and dark place, is because we believe other lies that are attached to that. So not only do we feel lonely, but we believe a lie that no one cares that we're lonely. We believe a lie that says no one is interested in me. It's no point even talking to anyone because no one wants to know. And so we go down in this spiral in our mindset of loneliness, where we don't feel like that we have any friends that want to listen. We don't have any friends that want to help us out. That's a hard place to be. Loneliness is a really hard mindset for us to live with. It's devastating, actually. And I want to read some verses here out of the book of John, and hopefully there's some encouragement here for us. And this is Jesus speaking. He says, "As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you." Now that's an awesome thought, isn't it? To actually know that Jesus says to you, he loves you. And he does. And this is what he says, "Now remain in my love. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete." Now that doesn't sound like a lonely way to live. If his joy is in us, then I don't think we're too lonely at that point. Because why? Because we know that he loves us. I know that he loves you. I hope you know that as well. "My command is this," Jesus says, "love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business." Here's what Jesus says, "Instead, I have called you friends, for everything that I've learned from my Father, I have made known to you. So Jesus doesn't just love you. And sometimes we think that Jesus loves us because he has to. But he actually goes a step further in my mind to actually say, I don't just love you from a distance, but I'm calling you my friend. So when we don't feel like we have a friend, Jesus says, saying, I am your friend. We can always come to Jesus knowing that he loves us, and then he calls us his friend. And then Jesus keeps saying, you did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit, fruit that will last. And so that whatever you ask in my name, the Father will give you. This is my command, Jesus says, love each other. Now I want to go back to those words where Jesus says, you did not choose me, I chose you. And that's awesome too, because sometimes we don't think like we're worthy of being chosen. Sometimes we feel like Jesus wouldn't want to choose us. But he says right there, I chose you. You didn't choose me. You didn't choose Jesus. I didn't choose Jesus first. Jesus chooses you. He loves you. He calls you his friend, and he chose you. That is not a lonely way to live. That's actually a way to live that's full of joy. So I want to encourage you. I know I'm saying that a lot, but I do want to encourage you with this truth. We don't have to live lonely. We don't have to live with a mindset that we're lonely, that we're separated from everybody, and believe the lie that we should be, believe the lie that no one cares. Because here's the thing, Jesus loves you. His joy is there for you. He calls you his friend. Can you believe that? That's incredible, that you are a friend of Jesus. There is no one else I would rather more be a friend with than Jesus. And he chose you. So I encourage you today, Sometimes we need a lot of encouragement when we're lonely. Receive that truth. Know that that's what the truth is, because Jesus is saying it. He loves you. His joy is for you. He calls you a friend, and he is the one who has chosen you. I hope this encourages you. At the very least, let's get this into our heart and know that we do not have to live lonely any longer. God bless you, and goodbye.